Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. This is going to be a nice short live where I try to show a more relaxed version of myself. I do long live streams on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific where I answer all questions. I will try to answer some questions today, but this is just going to be a nice short video, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. That's the goal. So, hey Siri, set a timer for 15 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes and counting.
There we go. I want to talk about what it's like to be retired early. This video is trying to explain what it's like to be retired early. The short answer would be, it's great, but that doesn't help. That doesn't give you any information you can act on. Is it worth pursuing? Yes. This is actually, what is it like? How do you put this into words? And I want to do a live stream because I don't want to have the ability to edit and take out anything that I get emotional about, because retiring is an emotional experience, walking away from a job that I loved, a position I liked. I was the president of a company. I had 60 people working for me. I got to interact with legislature and companies and graduates, and I got to do what you love, and it's not work, right? But if it's a job, if you're showing up for 40 hours a week, it's a job. So this is going to be a live talking about, I've been retired for 2 months. What's it like? What's it feel like? How can I put this into words? I'm going to start really quick, just in case you've not seen my content before. You don't know who I am. You don't know what this silly shirt is. But I made it to the age of 40 without ever having $1,000 in the bank. I worked towards 2 pensions. I thought I would work in the Marines. Do 20 years, get a pension. At about 6 years, the Marine Corps downsized after Desert Storm. So I thought, well, I'll do law enforcement. What can every person who's ever been in the Marines do? Go be a cop, right? About 8 years into that, the housing crash happened in 2008, so I got laid off. So the 2 times I've worked towards pensions, they were taken away. After 2008, I was laid off from the police department. I was a single parent with 3 kids, making about $17 an hour. I started teaching at a truck driving school, the company that I ended up being the president and running of. But in the beginning, it was $17 an hour. I had a bad debt to income ratio. I found out about $89,000 in bad debt in my name that I didn't know about until the divorce. So the starting position was making it to at least midlife, if not a little after, without ever having a lot of money. Waking up one day and just realizing I need to take charge of my finances because the pensions I was working for kept getting taken away due to things outside of my control. So I just saw cancel timer, which I almost read out loud. I thought I would take charge of my finances. So it took 8 years to reach financial freedom. Financial independence happened at 8 years. I worked for 4 more years because, like I said, I loved the job. I liked going in every day. I liked the interactions that I had. I loved the people I worked with and for, but it's a job. Time freedom finally won out. And July 5th, turned in my notice, basically worked for 2 more weeks, kinda-ish, but haven't worked since. So I'm coming up on the 2-month anniversary of that. And what is it like? So in order to reach financial freedom, I had to pick, can I start and grow a business and grow it to the point where it's so big, somebody else runs the day-to-day and I don't have to go in? I wasn't making enough to invest the millions that it would take to reach the 4% rule to where I could live comfortably in a retirement in the time that I had left. So I chose buy and hold real estate. I invested in small multifamily. I've house hacked twice. I have 6 figures in cash flow. It's multiples of what it takes me to live. I had 2 examples of people that I could emulate or try to emulate in real estate, but they used strategies that wouldn't work for me. I had a friend who is retired with over 30 rentals. He worked as a real estate agent, so he was a realtor, and he lived in a friend's garage, kind of a form of house hacking, and built his portfolio working as a realtor, waiting for the best deals to walk in the door and then buying them over a couple of decades. I had 3 kids. I couldn't take the inconsistent income or move into someone's garage. So house hacking was ultimately the solution, but it wasn't the way that he did it. So he invested with a different strategy than me. My brother is the other person that I really look up to, and it was kind of like my catalyst to reaching financial freedom. He retired at the age of 50 with 10 paid off rentals. But again, he used a strategy that I couldn't do. He had his house paid off. He took out a home equity line of credit and he purchased mobile homes on acreage in kind of the middle of nowhere that were falling apart. I mean, like some of them falling apart, but he's a craftsman. The work skills and the ethics that he had, he was running a tree service, residential arborist, and he would get off after a 10 or 12-hour day, and then he'd go work on his rentals for 5 hours, and he would do really cool, like rounded corner drywall, replace flooring, do all this stuff himself. Like I said, he was a craftsman. 2 to 3 months later, he'd have that place fixed up as a nice rental. He'd focus all his cash flow, pay off the HELOC, rinse and repeat until he got to 10. For a while, I thought he was insane. Those 10 to 12-hour days plus 5, that's a lot, right? But then I saw that he had a game plan. At 50, closed down his tree service. Hasn't worked for 8 years now. His rentals were in place, all fixed up. He has 10 of them, all paid off. Cash flow is multiples of what it takes him to live. So now he travels. We've been to Colombia together, to Thailand together. He has side-by-sides, quads, Sea-Doos, like his motorcycle. He's got everything that you would want. And he started retirement at 50 when he was still able to enjoy it. So here's what I have before I get into what is it really like to be retired for 2 years? How can I put this into words that would make sense to someone like me 5 years ago who wouldn't understand what retirement would look like? Because I thought I was going to work until I died. Like my options were, like my dad died at 75 on the job site. No retirement plans, no ability to retire, no planning to retire. My pensions kept getting taken away. Or the second option was maybe since I was working actual jobs where I paid taxes, unlike my dad, still miss you, Dad. I thought if I could live really frugally, like eat cat food frugally, I might be able to survive on Social Security and some kind of part-time work when I'm so old I couldn't work anymore. So being able to reach financial freedom and independence and retire at 52, 2 months ago, wasn't something I thought was possible. But here's the favor I have before I explain exactly what it feels like to be retired for 2 months now, and maybe get to some questions if there are any. But like I said, this is going to be a short video. This is not going to be the long live stream. If you want the long live stream, that is Tuesday afternoons, 4 p.m. Pacific. I really want to make a video with my brother. And he doesn't watch my content, so I won't feel bad saying this now, because this is not how my family usually communicates. We're very sarcastic. But I look up to my brother. He ran a business and bought rentals and reached financial freedom, raised 2 great kids. Like, he's had the same luck with marriages that I have, so I guess we have some things in common. But he's the antithesis of lazy. I'm the lazy one because I joined the Marine Corps because it was kind of easier than the family business. I want him to come on and share his story, but he has said, I want him to come on like my friend Dan did a couple days ago or yesterday or whenever that was. All days are blending together because every day is Saturday, hungover from Friday night. I want him to share his story because he didn't do big, huge, small multifamily loans in the 400,000 to 600,000 range. He purchased falling down mobile homes where literally last week I found one on the MLS and sent it to him that was $125,000 that would rent out for about $1,800 a month. Yes, it would take his sweat equity in his 3 months to get it up to where he would want it, but those deals still exist. He doesn't want to come on here and share it because he's not sure anybody would benefit from his strategies because it doesn't have big numbers. Like all of the debt that he's very debt averse. If Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey had a nephew, that would be me. My brother's more in the Dave Ramsey court. While he did use a home equity line of credit, put his house at risk to buy a rental, he had the cash flow to justify it and pay it off in a year and a half. So in the beginning, when I started investing, he kind of thought I was stupid taking on debt. Once I reached financial freedom and he sees the cash flow, he thinks I might know a little bit about what I'm doing. So if you could do me a favor, not during the live stream because he won't read the live chat, but after the video, if anybody can put a comment in the comment section below saying something like, David, that's my brother's name, please share your story. It might help somebody. Or David, I would love to hear how you did it so that I could take some screenshots and send it to him and say, hey, I'm not the only one that wants to share your content. I want other people to see what you did. So I don't ask for things very often. I'm asking for that. Please leave a comment asking my brother David to share his story. So reaching financial freedom and being able to retire early, I started the video with, the short answer would be, it's great, right? How does that help? It doesn't. Here's what I can equate it to. The first thing is most of us can picture retirement. It's when I would have had hair. We have white hair. We kind of hobble. We move slowly. We're 75 to 90. We're thinking, okay, I can't work anymore. Social Security, a very frugal lifestyle. I will retire eventually. We can all picture that. If you're watching this content, you're hoping you're not living on hopium, but you're actually developing a strategy to retire much sooner than that, much better off, to where you don't have to live frugally and you don't have to work till that late in life. But we don't daydream about that type of retirement. We don't sit back and think, fantasize, what's it going to be like when I'm 78 and I don't have to work? But most of us, I don't want to say all, but most of us, myself included, spend the most of our lives fantasizing about winning the lottery. A massive windfall of cash that completely changes our life in one day. Family member we've never heard of, never met, passes away and leaves you a bunch of money. Whatever your daydreams are of this huge change to your life based on finances, we daydream about that. What would you do? Would you continue to work? If you're like me, I was unlucky. I loved my job. Could have quit, worked for 4 more years. Some people are lucky and they hate their job. Like, they just can't stand getting out of bed. You see all the memes on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. It sucks. Tomorrow's Monday. Great. Today's Friday. They've built a life they can't wait to escape. But if they won a bunch of money, if you win the lottery, you get to do whatever you want. Would you travel? Where would you live? Where would you call the center of the universe? What kind of car would you drive? The most important questions to me: who would you help? How would you help? The question that comes up the most to me now, that I'm actually entertained by, is, now that you're not working, Dion, now that you're not the president of a truck driving school, that you grew from like 6 staff to 60, like I say this all the time, 1 location to 5, had a massive impact. They were training a couple hundred students a year, to where when I left, when they're still training 2,000 a year, we have employers waiting for them to start quality local jobs. Like, I really liked that job. It was a big part of my identity. They say, where are you going to find your purpose now if you don't have that job? How sad would it be if your purpose came from something you had to be paid for to do? I loved the job, but the last word in that sentence is job. I spent 50 to 60 hours a week building and growing that company and making sure it was stable, so the owners were benefited, because they gave me the biggest chance that anyone has ever given me in my life, that my coworkers were stable and know that there's going to be enough work for them to continue working there, that the local employers would want to hire our graduates, so the people enrolling and spending their money to attend the school are actually going to benefit from it. Like, all of that went with it wasn't my purpose. So here's what it's like to be retired early, young enough to still enjoy things. I travel. I took a trip to Colombia and Thailand with my brother before I retired. I just rented jet skis and rode around on Lake Cleolum. I might actually record a video there, if you saw that one. I'm still young enough to enjoy it. What does it feel like to not work? It's better than winning the lottery. And not just because, and this is the normal response when I've said that to some people, I've said it feels better than winning the lottery. The normal reaction is, well, because you feel like you earned it, right? You have that self-respect of, I accomplished this, where if you win the lottery, it's a windfall, a lot of luck involved. It's not better just because I've earned it. It's better because it's reproducible. You can do what I've done. If I win the lottery, I'm not going to make a YouTube channel saying, here's all you do. You just go buy a lottery ticket. Of course, that's what you do. But 70% of the people who win the lottery within 5 years have spent all the money. A large number of them have filed bankruptcy. So in 5 years, a lot of lottery winners return to work because they have to. I invested in an asset class that benefits from inflation. Rents haven't gone down since we started tracking the data market-wide. I've diversified my portfolio, so I have properties more than 10 miles apart. pulling tenants from different sources. So a base or a port or a college can close down, not impact my entire portfolio. I've diversified my tenant base. I have about 1/3 military, 1/3 Section 8, 1/3 working or retired. I keep my rents below area average and still profitable. So my tenants are getting a good deal. It does help to have the binder strategy, which gets my tenants to ask me to raise the rent. That makes it a lot easier to find cash flowing deals on the MLS. But I'm confident, more so than a person who wins the lottery, that in 5 years, not only will I not have to go back to work, but my struggle will be the biggest struggle that I have now, the biggest struggle with being retired. We are at 15 minutes, so I'm almost ready to wrap up. I have to learn how to spend money, not just invest money. For the last 12 years of investing, every penny that came in from side hustle overtime increased, climbing the corporate ladder, making more money. I didn't end the job making $17 an hour like I started it, but I did start there. Cash flow from the properties, every cash flowing asset that I added was funneled into investing. It wasn't until the 8-year mark where I got the nicer car, started taking the vacations. I was 48 before I took my first vacation. Very first vacation ever taken was a full month in Colombia. So I think that's a good goal for most people. And it was really weird because of the cash flow from rentals. I came home with more money than I left with, which was the first eye-opening thing that financial freedom was really possible for me, not just for people like my brother or my friend who had different situations to reach this. So that's the wrap up. Being able to retire early feels better than winning the lottery. It'd be nice to win the lottery. It would have been nice to win the lottery. I don't know if I won the lottery if I would have reached financial freedom, because in 5 years, I probably would have spent it like 70% of the other people do. Some people understand finances, win the lottery, and do great. Some people don't understand finances, win the lottery, educate themselves, and do great. If you educate yourself and you reach financial freedom, investing in an asset class that you master, use the 10,000 hour rule. I've put way more than 10,000 hours, not only into working and investing in real estate, but podcasts, audiobooks, and taking in content to become better at this. But I know with confidence that if some life-changing event happened and everything was taken away, between 5 to 10 years, I could reach financial freedom again. When you win the lottery, if you lose it all, there's no guarantee that you can buy lottery tickets for the rest of your life and ever win again. I'm hoping that the people watching this understand that somebody who didn't think they had the possibility to retire in any way whatsoever thinks it feels better than winning the lottery would have, because I get to live every day doing whatever I want. I literally have a duplex that produces cash flow that I call the vehicle duplex. It went from Corvette to Raptor to Tundra to F-250 to whatever vehicle I want from the duplex. Have an asset for every expense. And your expense could be travel. It could be your vehicles, like the lumberjack landlord going for his Lamborghini. Whatever matters to you can actually happen by reaching financial freedom. And I say this, it is not complicated, meaning it's simple, doesn't mean it's easy. For me, it's a lot easier to reach financial freedom than it was to work 60 hours a week building someone else's dream. But working towards financial freedom, knowing that there was an end goal in sight, figuring out for you with your starting position, is it going to take you somewhere between 5 and 10 years? Let me look through really quick, just in case I miss any questions here. Howdy to everybody who stopped by in a midday live stream. David from Las Vegas, Strider 99. Howdy. Wife and I just bought our first investment home and planning to rent. All because of you and one rental at a time and lumberjack landlord. Next step, a duplex. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's awesome. That is amazing. Howdy, Tony. Cool. If you want questions answered, I look forward to seeing you Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific. Thank you very much for stopping by in the middle of a day to hear me rant about how much it sucks to be retired, because all I do every day is all I want, whenever I want. It's terrible. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.